3.1 Practice and Research. My reflective video for Assessment 2023. My chosen theme is dyslexia. This came about with my own personal diagnosis with dyslexia while studying contemporary practice last summer. I thought it would be a good idea to use practice and research to investigate the topic, for me to also understand my own personal traits with dyslexia and to find out how I could make my textile practice visually academic. I find academic writing particularly difficult, so my aim for my studies with practice and research has been to make everything visual. This includes the blog, videos, photography work, and my textile responses to my research. My research was quite in-depth. It covered academic dyslexia, and it also covered creative people with dyslexia. The research became quite in-depth, but it also enabled me to find lines of inquiry that appealed to me, and this research then made textile responses. I discovered textile practitioners like Laura Blake, who focuses on tactility and sensory textiles using mixed media. And I also discovered the architect-designer Aldo van Eyck. Both of these pieces of research led to lines of inquiry by where I made some in-depth textile responses that were also playful and quite mature. Developing the processes of my own dyslexia, discovered that I have a way of working that has a particular methodical cycle to it. This was learned from ideas and processes, and this works particularly well for me and in my work. This also worked visually with mind maps, with drawing, with lots of sketchbooks, and this also developed video format. My blog became more creative, visually, and became quite academic with the visual language. The Dyslexia online store enabled me to understand how we overcome dyslexia in education, with the raised lines of the paper and coloured overlays. These progressed into textile responses. Some of the responses were playful and some of them were more mature. As these textile responses developed, these became tactile, they became more experienced with colour, and they followed a development which later down the line in my practice and research, my work also developed into working with the body and using the body as a platform for movement and display. One of the key points and textile responses that I found that continued throughout the whole of the project, or a piece that came to the surface quite frequently, was the idea of the thin red line. The thin red line appeared in my school reports that I have in an archive tin, where teachers would cross and write scribbled writing, must try harder, which made me feel very stupid at the time. Dyslexia was not in the vocabulary in the education in the system in the 70s and the 80s. So this piece has become quite poignant and emerged as my work developed. Now this focuses on colour, it focuses on tactility, and it focuses on the academic idea of dyslexia. Working and building up my knowledge with research, there was a continuous ideas of creativity and masses of ideas, which at times just became quite chaotic. But towards the end of the assignment, I was able to give my work direction with knit, which is now going to continue with 3.2. It also allowed me to edit the location of my practice, which is going to be an ongoing process. And it also identified and helped me understand my own personal fear of dyslexia. Hopefully, as the work processes and develops through the development of 3.2, I can help my work be very visual and also cross the boundaries of me now becoming a visual academic creative artist. The blog is quite in detail. The critical essay is in video format, and my tutor feedback is quite in depth and gives a lot of development and ideas for me able to progress further into the investigations of dyslexia, which will continue for 3.2.